Donald Trump staged a photo op at a McDonald's and talked about the size of a dead golfer's penis. I'm not happy about it either. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Ever since Kamala Harris entered the race, Trump supporters have repeated one specific criticism over and over again. No one knows what she believes.
Everything about Kamala Harris and her campaign, it is fake, it is phony, it is fraudulent. Her website only recently published a policy section which was basically a cut and paste from the Biden campaign.
At the end of the day, she's not stood firm in front of the American people about what she's going to do.
There's no real set of ideas, not really an agenda, no policies.
It's a Hollywood campaign. She's running on zero issues. She's running on zero policy prescriptions. It's all produced by Hollywood, and it's aided and abetted by the media.
Kamala doesn't have a plan.
She has no plans, no footnotes.
Kamala has no plan to bring down prices.
So what does she believe? How would she govern? Ultimately, are voters going to buy it?
Here we are 16 days from the election, and you haven't asked me one question about how Kamala Harris is going to get America on the right track.
Well, I'm going to talk
because
to
she
Josh
has
Shapiro
no plan.
You're
All
here to
the
talk
questions
about
have
Trump.
been about Donald Trump's rhetoric.
Well,
they haven't been about how do we make America safe and prosperous again. They have no plan. President Trump does.
You keep pestering me with all these annoying questions, just like my Meemaw did when I told her I was moving to the big city. Stop asking me how I'm gonna pay my rent, you old plow horse. The man said I could be a Times Square Elmo if they can find a big enough head. Also, I love the idea that Harris's campaign is the fake and phony one produced by Hollywood. Only one candidate in this race was an actual reality TV star who conducted fake business meetings in a fake boardroom and slathers himself in makeup like my kid's painting a seashell in art class. But you guys heard him. Kamala will not give us detailed specifics about her plans, unlike Trump, who held a rally in Latrobe, Pennsylvania this weekend where he spoke directly to the pressing needs of Americans.
A very special hello to Latrobe. Oh, I love Latrobe. You know why? The home of Arnold Palmer. This was the home of my friend Arnold Palmer. And he loved Latrobe. You know, he turned out to be one of the greatest golfers in the world. He started off very, very poor. He had no money, just had a lot of talent and a lot of muscle. He was a strong guy. And his father, you know, worked at Latrobe Golf Course. And he was a laborer there. They called him in those days sod carrier. He was a very strong man. He'd carry sod. They didn't have trucks that they trucked it. They had strong people carrying it. He was the strongest of them all. And he had a son, but they had no money. And he worked at Latrobe. And they treated him good because he could do more work than anybody else. And his son started to grow up, and he realized his son was very strong like him. But he never had a chance to play golf. He had no money at all. And his son was named Arnold. And when Arnold was 4 and 5 years old, they had no money to buy a club. He couldn't buy one club, not one. And they used to go to the back of, this was all told to me by Arnold, so I have it firsthand.
I'm sorry, I don't believe that's how Arnold Palmer told the story. You make him sound like an Italian grandma arriving at Ellis Island in 1920. I'm back in the older country. We had no money for golf clubs. My son, he is so strong. He said, Mama, please buy me a 5-iron. I say, Honey, bambino, we are so poor. They know pay your papa to carry the sod. Sorry, Republicans, is this what you mean when you say Donald Trump has a plan? Because the only plan I can make out here is a plan to bore the out of his audience. I mean, no wonder people leave his rallies early. After the first minute of that story, everyone in the crowd started looking down at their phones, Googling, can you get a refund for free rally tickets? But Trump can't pick up on the boredom of his audience. And of course, so he kept just going.
They used to go to the bag room where the members were, and they took out members' clubs, and they'd use the members' clubs, 2 or 3 of them at night, late at night, and he'd hit balls with his son. And he'd watch his son every move. And he realized his son had great talent. And then his son got older and stronger, and then he got stronger and stronger, and his father started saying, wow, this is really crazy. What's going on with this kid? And finally, he was able to save up enough money to get him some clubs, but they weren't strong enough. Arnold was breaking them. He'd swing a regular club and it'd break the hell out of it because he was so powerful. And they went back to the members' bags because they couldn't afford another set. And it used very stiff-shafted clubs, very strong for those of you that aren't golfers. That's for like good golfers with power, very stiff-shafted.
I think my favorite is there's a guy behind him filming it. Like, the only thing that'd be worse about that is, like, watching it from the back of his head. Also, if you ever have to say the words, for those of you who aren't golfers, just stop talking. I got nothing against golfers. You do you. But I speak for all non-golfers when I say, we don't want to hear about your We're never sitting there thinking, oh, I wish I knew all this golf terminology. Then I could be in on the fun. Why won't anyone tell me what stiff-shafted means? But Trump doesn't care if you're a golfer or not, or if you're a sentient human being who'd like to hear a presidential candidate talk about, say, healthcare or the economy. So, you know, he just droned on.
But there was nobody that had his magic. He was a thriller. He was unbelievable. He knew how to win, and he knew how to just do whatever it was that electrified a crowd. If I had him here right now with me, this crowd would be going absolutely crazy. They'd say, Trump, get off the stage. We want Arnold Palmer to speak.
Buddy, I think at that point, if anybody else was there, the crowd would want to hear from. If you had a bag of Arnold Palmer's bones on stage, people would start screaming, let him talk. Your story is bad and long. It doesn't make any sense. Seriously, man, if you want a podcast, I'm sure someone will give you a podcast, and you can tell these stories to whoever wants to hear them, but they can also fold their laundry while they're listening. Oh, I didn't know you could make a living carrying sod. No one wants to hear this story. Even Trump's own crowd was completely silent, and he must have noticed because he then decided to spice up the story with some fun behind-the-scenes details.
I've told the story before, not in this kind of detail. Because, you know, you have these teleprompters. If I would read it off a teleprompter, it wouldn't be so good, right? And it would be a lot shorter. It wouldn't be as good. And I didn't want to do that. I said, when I come here, I'm going to tell them the real story of Arnold. But Arnold Palmer was all man. And I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women. But this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough, and I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had to say it. We have women that are highly sophisticated here, but they used to look at Arnold as a bad, but he was really something special.
Wait, are you saying he was
stiff-shafted?
That's why they called him Arnold Palmer. His dong was so big he had to carry it in his palm. Lest the weight of it drag him to the turf, a.k.a. the sod. So with just 2 weeks until Election Day, voters have a choice. On the one hand, you got Kamala Harris's plan to stop price gouging, lower prescription drug costs, mandate coverage of elder care, and give money to the parents of newborns and first-time homeowners. And on the other hand, you got Donald Trump's plan to let everyone know that Arnold Palmer had a big old donkey. Remember when I said he couldn't afford clubs? Turns out he didn't need them. He had a big old... He had a big Bertha right between his legs. He would just drop his trousers and hit the ball with his big old wangs, the golfers. Have I mentioned he's from Latrobe? Have I mentioned that 15 times? I feel like Trump might just be projecting here because he knows compared to Arnold Palmer, if you saw Trump's you-know-what in the shower...
It would be a lot shorter.
And now, the same Republican Party that claims Kamala Harris is the one who won't discuss policy specifics is also dismissing Trump's bizarre obsession with Arnold Palmer's penis size as a non-issue.
Is this really the closing message you want voters to hear from Donald Trump? Stories about Arnold Palmer's penis?
Well, listen, I think that the headline that I read about the rally in Pennsylvania yesterday was the big question, and it's the one that Kamala Harris has not been able or willing to answer, and that is, are you better off now than you were under the Trump administration 4 years ago?
Why is he talking about Arnold Palmer's penis in front of Pennsylvania voters?
Jake, you seem to like that line a lot. Let me tell you that Donald Trump is doing rallies nonstop around the country.
Let me just say something. I don't want to be talking about this.
Right.
Donald Trump is out there saying it is.
But you continue to. Let's talk about.
Because you won't.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
You won't address it. He is out there talking to voters.
No, I'll address it. Let me answer it. Okay, don't say it again. We don't have to say it. I get it. There's lines in a rally. When President Trump is at a rally, sometimes he'll speak for 2 straight hours. He has fun at the rallies. He says things that are off the cuff. But I'm telling you, I've been in those events. I've been in those arenas, and people have a great time at those arenas. So you can cherry pick a few words or lines out of a 2-hour event.
It was the first thing out of his mouth. He got up to the mic, said, "Hello, Latrobe. You know who's from Latrobe? Arnold Palmer." Then told a 12-minute story that ended with a vivid description of Arnold Palmer's
something special.
Also, I hate this thing Republicans do whenever Trump says something insane and the media asks them about the insane thing. They act like reporters are the ones who bring it up out of nowhere. No one wants to talk about Arnold Palmer's penis except for Donald Trump. I swear to God, I never thought about it once until this weekend. And because I have this show for the last 2 days, people have been saying to me, "I bet you're gonna have a field day with Arnold Palmer's penis." Like I have some weird kink where I like talking about famous golfers' genitals. That's how I found out about it. I was at a pumpkin patch with my kids trying to unplug from the news. Some stranger walks up to me, points at me, and goes, "Arnold Palmer's penis." And I'm like, no context. I'm like, what the is going on? My kids are looking at me for answers. I got nothing. And this is Donald Trump's America, you know? I'm going to be picking out Christmas trees. The guy's going to come up to me and be like, "Catfish Hunter's got a weird nut." I'm like, what? What's going on? It's not a party to be me when this happens, I'll tell you that much. But of course, Donald Trump can't just settle for doing one weird thing at a time. So a day after he finished his TED Talk on famous golfers and what they're packing, he staged a photo op at a McDonald's.
Today, Trump was in Pennsylvania serving up fries at a Philadelphia area McDonald's. The restaurant was closed for normal business during the photo op. Customers who went through the drive-thru were pre-selected by the franchise and the local Trump campaign team.
Briefly working the fry cooker at a McDonald's outside Philadelphia, passing drive-thru orders to customers pre-screened by his campaign.
I've always wanted to work at McDonald's, but I never did. I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs.
I love when he said, "I've always wanted to work at McDonald's," with a straight face and expects us to believe it. Oh, do you? Well, no one's stopping you, bro. I noticed you didn't pick up an application on your way out. Maybe you can get a job jumping out of the ball pit and scaring away kids who have been there for too long. I mean, look at him. He's wearing that apron over his suit like it's a last-minute Halloween costume. What are you dressed as? Oh, an undercover boss they recognize in the first 30 seconds? Although my favorite part was watching how unengaged he was when the people who actually worked there tried to educate him on how the fryer works. I've worked in restaurants, and if you were training someone who looked like that, while you were explaining the job to them, you call your manager and say, "We're totally The only reason the photo op happened in the first place is because Trump is triggered by the fact Kamala Harris actually worked at McDonald's, and he certainly wouldn't make life better for actual fast food workers, given that he's against raising the minimum wage and recently bragged at a rally about how he refused to pay his employees overtime. He really said that. It turns out Donald Trump is a bigger dick than
Arnold Palmer's penis.
This has been a closer look.
Thanks for watching.